Okay, second time's the charm. So this is the 10th and final team analysis that I have for the NCPL. If you guys are new and this is your first one, even though it's the 10th one, this is the National Competitive Pokemon League. It's a Facebook group. It's private. Check it out. There's a lot of strong players in here. We have 20 in the draft right now. I rate the teams based on 5 attributes. Just a broad way to rate them. Obviously, there's tons of things that go into team building, but offense, defense, speed, hazards, and momentum, and then a total score at the bottom. Each attributes out of 10, 10 being the worst, or 10 being the best, 0 being the worst. Max score 50. The least score you could have is 0. Nobody's close to that though. So today we're going to be looking at Simon C's team. He drafted an Excadrill, Mega Altaria, Appleton, Gigalith, Bibarel, Azumarill, Chandelure, Muk-A, Electivire, and Bouffalon. So right away, his team is got a lot of weight on Mega Altaria's shoulders to be the Heal Beller and Defogger, as his team really doesn't appreciate rocks or hazards, nor does it appreciate status. So unfortunately, Mega Altaria's use really goes down. Not use, utility really goes down because it's going to be used only in one way, I would imagine, so that his team can function properly. He also has the Gigalith Excadrill combo. Excadrill is one of the best weather users and weather abusers, so with 405 attack and 300 speed, this is 600 speed in the sand and 400 attack plus life orb plus sand boost on his earthquakes and rocks, and can't remember if it boosts steel moves too, but that makes him really threatening and hit really hard. So that could be paired with Band too or Swords Dance. Sand Rush really just opens it up for him. Don't forget, he also has Mold Breaker too, so those people with Levitate on their Rotoms, watch out, because that is something that can be brought. He can threaten the Sand Rush and bring the Mold Breaker. So let's get into his team individually here. I rated his offense a 7.5. Now, his offense is combined between Excadrill, Gigalith by setting up Sandstream. It also has really high attack though. That needs to be noted when people are versing Simon, to not just overlook this Pokemon as it's only a defensive Pokemon. This thing has 130 base attack, so pair that with Stone Edge and Earthquake and Sand, that stuff's gonna hurt. Then you got Azumarill, Alola Muk, Chandelure, Electivire, Bouffalon. Bibarel could be with Moody. I haven't seen it yet, and I don't know if it's going to work out very well, but it can. And then, of course, Mega Altaria, but like I said earlier, I think this Pokemon is really narrowed down to being just a Heal Beller and Defogger for his team. I can't see him bringing it for something else unless the opponent, like me or something like that, doesn't have any hazards to set up, or very minimal, or it's not a part of their game plan. I really highly doubt Mega Altaria is going to be brought as an offensive option. So the 7.5, here's where that rating comes out. Now Sand Rush is hard to stop. You're constantly getting chipped by the sand. That helps Excadrill break teams because Focus Sash would be a problem for him. Focus Sash, Fire Blast, Focus Sash, close combat or something like that, right? You get the point. The sand is really useful for Excadrill sweeping or cleaning up. Just that little extra chip is all it needs. So really powered by those two, Gigalith and Excadrill. Not to mention, Excadrill is a steel type for him to deal with some of the fairies. Now, there's very few fairies in the draft, but I think it's very useful to still have a steel type for fairies, just in case, things like Hatterene can't get too out of control and stuff like that, right? So, you then have Azumarill, which I think is really good for his team in terms of either cleaning or wall breaking. It does have Sap Sipper as well, but Sorry. I expect this to be his wall breaker Pokemon, and I expect the Extra to be the cleaner, just because the speed cap on Sandrush is good. Jesus, excuse me. um, so yeah, Azumarill paired that with huge power, choice band. It does have belly drum as well, although I don't know if his team really fits that super well. I feel like choice band wall breaker is more useful for him, for things like choice scarf chandelure or sand rush extra drill to finish sweeping off a team. So choice banded huge power liquidations are gonna really freaking hurt. Choice banded aqua jets, perfect for revenge killing. This is gonna do like 30 minimum, 30% minimum. So you got that. Then you got play rough. I think it also gets some other coverage as well. I just want to double check. Knockoff is another notable one that's really annoying. If it comes in, if Azumarill comes in on a favorable switch and Simon can call it, go for that knockoff, probably pick up a kill or completely break the Pokemon that's coming in. So, I don't know why I typed in Mega Azumarill Smoggin. That's not gonna bring anything up. Um, so those are the options that's normally brought on Azumarill, but he could opt to run things like Grass Knot against like Mega Swampert and stuff like that. It does have access to it. He also does have Bulldoze. What else? I don't see any point in running Bulldoze. I think Liquidation's probably going to do more anyway. You could run that Sap Sipper Scald set as a defensive set, which would be pretty annoying. Yeah, that's really about it though for its moves. In terms of what it would run, it does have Ice Punch as well. Yeah, I really only see him running Aqua Jet, Liquidation, Play Rough, and Knockoff. That's definitely its best set. It covers what it needs to. It's walled by certain things like Feral Thorn and stuff like that, but for the most part, not really walled. I think this is going to be a great Pokemon to open up his offense, and I hope he can utilize it properly, or well. But next we have Bouffalant, very similar to Azumarill. As I mentioned in the video that just crashed, I think Bouffalant is a very, very how should I say this? I don't want to say like a big cog to his team, but I think it can be a big cog to his team. So, for example, Staraptor with Reckless is like an absolute nuke. Really, you don't want anything in front of that. It's very hard to just resist Staraptor, especially with Flying Stab and then Normal Stab. So this is kind of how I feel about Bouffalant. Bouffalant kind of works in the same way. Obviously, it doesn't get like U-turn, but the ability for Bouffalant to punch holes, combine that with revenge killing with Azumarill. Maybe Bouffalant fires off a return or a head charge and it does 98%, and Bouffalant dies. Well, Azumarill comes out and Aqua Jets. Or if the opponent really needs that Pokemon, he's going to switch, and Simon can call the switch. Bam, he hits a knockoff. So, but what I was saying in the previous video was I think Bouffalant. I would recommend trying this if you're watching, Simon. Obviously, other people are going to be watching, so they're going to hear it. But like, I think this should be something that you try at least once. Now, Bouffalant doesn't have like crazy speed. It's base 55, so that's quite garbage. But the thing is timid. You reach 229 with a scarf. You reach 343. So that's outspeeding those 300, 330 Pokemon, and there is a ton of those in this draft, and I mean a ton. So, and a ton of Pokemon below that. Pair that with a scarf. Not pair that with, I was just referring to the scarf. Pair that with Reckless. and head charge, I really think you could pick up some kills for your team that would be really important for you to get that edge very quickly. Um, Buffalon has his own niche move in head charge, which helps him with reckless. Reckless gives the Pokemon's attacks with recoil or crash jam and have 1.2 times power. So I mean, you have a free life orb basically, um, allowing you to run Choice Scarf. So you head charge, you wall break, you set up ways for Azumarill to revenge kill, or for Muck to go in and pursuit so they can't switch out. These are just options, and I think that should be something that you try if you haven't already. Um, I think Buffalon can be very important to your team, and I think it should be utilized in the way of wall breaking for that Sand Rush extra drill. Um, but I won't stay on Buffalon too long. I just think it's a very interesting pick that I think can work really really well for your team. Next we have Electivire though. So a funny thing about Electivire I want to mention: this Pokemon seems to just never be good in draft, and it just maybe it's because its speed tier is low. I think it's 289, but I know its stats aren't low. Like it doesn't get low base stats all the way around. Oh, it does. It gets low base defense and only 75 HP. Okay. So that makes a little bit more sense to me, but its speed is 317. I thought it was worse than that. That's really not that bad. To have 95 special attack and 123 base physical attack, I mean that's not bad at all. Um, Combine that, it gets Volt Switch. You can Scarf it, you can Specs it, you can Band it, or you can run Life Orb and Mix Attacker. Uh, I don't understand why this Pokemon always goes so overlooked in draft. It's got great coverage. Its attack is sky high, and being electric type, you're only one weakness, Earthquake. Um, Although, um, unfortunately, Simon's team doesn't have a Earthquake immunity. I mean, he can switch into Appleton, but I think that would have worked really well if he had an Earthquake immunity. Obviously, Altaria in base form can, but it's susceptible to being killed in base form if he switches it in and they do something else other than Earthquake, like Stone Edge or something. But Electivire having those stats, I think this is a decent pickup for Simon. It will help his momentum a little bit, as he really didn't have any other ways to U-turn or Volt Switch or anything like that. So, uh, a decent pickup. I think this is going to help him a little bit. It all depends on how he builds his team in the matchup. But I do think he needed a little bit of momentum uh, building with the Volt Switch. This is gonna help him get in favorable things like Gigalith or Appleton or Alola Muck or Mega Altaria, um, and to wear down the opponent and continue to chip them or even get in Buffalon. I mean, Buffalon's got the defenses to just come in. Buffalon's got base 95 defense, base 95 Spit F, so um, I think Electivire should make its appearance quite often. I would like to see it. I hope to see it. I hope to see it be used and be useful because I think this Pokemon is pretty good and shouldn't be. I think what was it? 2 points? I think it should be at least three. If you guys know why this Pokemon is always so overlooked in draft, I would really love to know. Maybe there's just better electric types. Maybe that's what it is. I'm really not sure. So let's see where Electivire is. God damn, if it's okay, yeah, it's at least 2 points. Okay, if it was 1 point, I would have just completely flew out of my seat there. But yeah, I mean 2 points. I guess that makes sense. You got Noivern at 2 points, so I mean, if Noivern's 2 points, Electivire's 2 points. Noivern shouldn't be 2 points, but Sean got really good with that pick. But anyways, Electivire's coverage is really really good. It's got coverage for everything. And what I think, if you guys want me to let you know what that is, I can certainly do that for you. let's tell you what coverage he is. So keep in mind, he can run attack or special attack. He has decent enough special attack to run both. He gets Vital Spirit, which he can't fall asleep, and he gets Motor Drive. So again, this boosts his speed by 1. So I mean, you come in on an electric attack and you're banded or something like that. I mean, you could potentially, net 2 kills, net 1 kill, which is good. That's not bad. Although I think Simon should have more ways to force Volt Switches and Thunderbolts out of Pokemon to really pressure that Electivire Motor Drive. But regardless, this is the coverage he has. He's got Volt Switch, Flamethrower, Earthquake, Focus Blast, Ice Punch, Cross Chop. He does have Dual Chop for Dragons, but I think he has Ice Punch as well. Fire Punch. Yep, Ice Punch, Iron Tail. What else do you have? Does he have Bulk Up? Nope. He has Brick Break as well, Body Slam, Rock Slide, Signal Beam, Stomping Tantrum. He gets Earthquake. Whoa. He has Teleport. He has Teleport. Well, that makes Electivire a lot better in my opinion. I know he gets Volt Switch, but if he needs that slow switch in, I mean, he could arguably run it defensively. Could he run it defensively? Let's take a look here. It does have Curse. Oh, let's see. He could run this defensively and use Teleport. He doesn't have a Wish Passer, so probably wouldn't recommend it. I also learned Psychic, by the way, if you didn't know. What else? I don't really see too much. It has Taunt, Toxic, Thunder Wave, of course, Thunder Punch, of course. Does have Quick Attack. That's okay. Power Punch. Ugh, Jesus. Sorry, I just really got hung up on that Teleport. I think that makes Electivire's usage a little bit better because although I don't think it's like the greatest defensive option, I think he can do that, and with the ability to run Teleport and get that slow switch in for like Excadrill or hell, Azumarill, Bufalon, or Chandelure, like I mean, to get those Pokemon in for free is very, very strong. Azumarill and Bufalon being the best of those three. To get in a free head charge or a free liquidation or an Aqua Jet or get in Alola Muck and pursuit trap the Pokemon. Very, very good. So just like before, I've been on offense for probably too long. But last, sorry, I got hung up on that friggin' Teleport. But Alola Muck, I'll quickly mention Pursuit Trapper, only weak to ground, super good resistances, a great pickup by Simon, really good Assault Vest user, a good bruiser for his team to again wear down Pokemon and checks for things like Azumarill, Bufalon, and Excadrill to just completely wall break or sweep. Then you got Chandelure, 427 modest special attack. I think it's like 400-ish in Timid. That's very freaking high. Shadow Ball, firing off Shadow Balls is always fun. Nothing really resisting it. Normal being the most, obviously the worst for it because it does 0 damage. But that with Fire Blast and Flash Fire, its speed tier is kind of middling, so it's usually relying on Scarf. But it has options as well. If the opponent's team is really not that fast. He could opt to run specs and make it a wall breaker. Probably wouldn't recommend it. I'd probably have a choice scarf on it just to a fallback in case Excadrill can't finish what it needs to do. But Chandelure also has other options, kind of similar to Dragapult, except a little bit worse than Dragapult, of course, because its speed is so low. It does get Flame Body. Infiltrator is very important in this draft. So many people drafted screens. A lot of people are doing substituting and crap like that, right? So very very good ability for this draft. It can trick. It has Memento. The ability to Will-O-Wisp Hex is quite annoying. It does have Haze as well. So this can be ran as a utility Pokemon too. It also has Calm Mind, which is really good. I didn't know that, but it does get that. Taunt as well. So this Pokemon can be ran utility or wall breaking. I mean, he has enough wall breaking between Azumarill and Bouffalon to run Chandelure in another way than just a special attacker. But the fact that Chandelure is really his only special attacker, I feel like it's forced into a position to only be a special attacker. And if he doesn't, then he falls victim to a really strong defensive Pokemon that would resist both Azumarill and Bouffalon. I think the Steel Birds are quite a big problem for those two. So Chandelure would have to be there with Fire Blast. But anyways, Jesus, after 20 minutes, that is a 7.5. So that was quite long. I apologize. So, but defense, I rated a 7. He's going to be heavily relying on Mega Altaria as his really main defensive Pokemon. Gigalith and Appletun definitely are going to be in there as an unconventional core. Gigalith being weak to Earthquake and Appletun being able to resist it. Appletun being weak to Ice, Gigalith being able to resist Ice. Also being able to take on those Draco Meteors with its Sandstream and decent special defense. So, but Mega Altaria really running this defense with Defog, Heal Bell, and just staying alive with Roost is really strong. So I expect it to be utility. Probably just run Moonblast since there's really nothing that resists Fairy besides Fire, Poison, and Steel, which is pretty uncommon in the draft right now. So yeah, it's a 7. Gigalith and Appletun really, although unconventional, it works. I maybe could have rated a little lower, but Mega Altaria's utility, I think at least is deserving of a 7. Being able to run Heal Bell or Defog is really good, or run both if needed. Once one of those three goes down, though, I feel like his team might start to crack. I feel like he should have a couple other defensive options. Of course, he has Assault Vest Muck, which is going to help out between those Appletun and Gigalith. It will absorb some attacks since it's got such good resistances. Pair that with Assault Vest, it can eat stuff. I think it gets Drain Punch as well for some decent, reliable recovery. So I expect to probably see those 3 or 4, probably more often than not. It's kind of hard. His team is kind of suffering from like 6 Pokemon syndrome, where if he had 7, he could have a really really strong team, but having 6, it kind of there's going to be that hole that is going to be noticeable. So it's not bad though. I think it's just a little bit above average, as Gigalith's pretty hard to break. Sandstream's going to be annoying between Toxic and Sand Chip. It's going to be pretty rough on some of your Pokemon. So, but yeah. Anyways, next we have Speed. Now Speed is a 6. I really wanted to rate this a 5, and that's nothing against Simon, but his speed is very very low. Nothing breaks 317. Except Sandrush, of course. But if Sandrush is not up, his speed tier is low, and he suffers from a 330 Choice Scarfer that has decent attacking stats. Probably run through his entire team, or at least basically break down his team. But But what's bumping this to a 6 is the Sand Rush, of course, putting his speed tier at 600 in the sand. And then Aqua Jet from Azumarill is always very, very strong. Electivire holding that speed tier at 317 is not bad either. It can be a reliable scarfer. 317 is good enough to scarf. And to outspeed some slower threats, like the Chandelure speed tiers and stuff like that, like the 280s and stuff. But the Aqua Jet and the Sand Rush is really holding that together. If he didn't have one of those, it would probably be a 5. He really suffers from speed in here. If there was something he could pick up to add in his speed, I would probably trade out Bidoof. I know Bidoof is kind of that not meme, because Moody is allowed now, so that is kind of threatening. But is it going to be useful all the time? No. And I think you need something that's going to be useful all the time right now, to clear up that speed gap. Whether the Pokemon is weak or not, I think that speed gap really needs to be cleared up, especially if people can eliminate sand. So moving on though, we got Hazards, rated of 7. He has a really reliable rocker in Gigalith and Excadrill. Both are pretty reliable at doing that. Excadrill also has Rapid Spin and Defog in Mega Altaria. What was the other one I seen? There was some. Oh, Bidoof also gets Stealth Rock. So I don't really expect Bidoof to come in as a Stealth Rock or anything like that. But Leech Seed and Appleton as well. I think Excadrill, Gigalith, and Appleton are completely fine hazard setters. Excadrill being able to Rapid Spin away is really great for him too. That way he doesn't always have to rely on Defog from Mega Altaria, and he can free up a move slot on Mega Altaria, which we all know Mega Altaria really, really suffers from 4-move syndrome. So being able to free up a move for Mega Altaria is going to help his team out tremendously. So just a teeny tiny bit above average. Gigalith always getting up rocks, probably no matter what. I don't know very many things that are just going to OHKO this Pokemon. Especially if you consider it run Sturdy. I think it does learn Sturdy. I just want to make sure I'm correct on that. I don't expect him to run. Yeah, it does learn Sturdy. I don't expect him to run Sturdy because he needs the sand for Excadrill, but you understand what I'm saying. Very reliable rocker, very reliable Rapid Spinner, and Appleton is pretty annoying with Leech Seed, Recover, Apple Acid. You're always forcing switches and getting Leech Seed on somebody, so yeah, 7. Nothing too fancy, but nothing bad. So I don't think he has any other hazards. You could mention status in Electivire and status, on Chandelure, but I don't really see that as being useful for his team. I feel like his team is very offensive, and he needs to really utilize that offense as, a kamikaze wall-breaking team, basically. So last, though, we have Momentum, and Momentum is a 6. Now, similar to Speed, I think I could have rated this at a 5, but and again, this is nothing against Simon personally or anything like that. It's nothing like that. I'm just what I'm seeing from these things. When I'm saying I could have rated it worse. Things that are holding his momentum together. That Volt Switch on Electivire was pretty important, and the Sand Rush. Those things are snowball momentum is how I would explain it. So let's say somebody miscalcs and Excadrill picks up a kill in the sand. He still has, I don't know, 3 to 5 turns left in the sand, and he just killed somebody or eliminated a Pokemon that you really didn't think was gonna die or get KO'd. Well now he's got some serious pressure and momentum. What are you gonna send in that isn't gonna be one hit KO'd or isn't gonna be wall broken? And can it kill Excadrill in 1 hit or in 2 hits or in 3 hits? What is it basically? So it's a snowball effect that Excadrill can do, and the snowball effect is called sweeping. You're sweeping up the team. It's getting swept. So pair that with if things are chipped enough, Azumarill can definitely be that snowball Pokemon. with Choice Band, Huge Power, Aqua Jet, just cleaning up Pokemon after Pokemon after Pokemon. If it's chipped down, below 50%, Aqua Jet has more than enough power with Huge Power, Stab, uh, and Choice Band to really clean up those kills. So there's momentum like that. Um, Another interesting suggestion in momentum would be Moody. You basically, if this Pokemon gets the right boost and you're not thinking it's going to, and you're not dealing with it the way that you should because you're just kind of brushing off this Pokemon. It's just kind of a dumb Bidoof or whatever, or Bibarel. Um, the Moody is a big problem. If you just let it keep going and going and going, that's a big issue. So there is momentum like that on his team, but it's very minor. So aside from that, Simon really suffers from just raw switching. He only has one Volt Switcher from what I can see. I don't think anything else is like U-turn, Volt Switch, or Flip Turn. I don't think Azumarill got Flip Turn. I'm gonna double check. I'm almost 100% certain Azumarill didn't get Flip Turn. I think it would be pretty broken with Flip Turn. No, it didn't get Flip Turn. So yeah, the only thing I'm really seeing for like momentum building, not just snowballing, would be Electivire. Other than that, he's forced to raw switch on things and call predictions correctly, which I think is a lot of people suffer losses from doing things like that. So I think if there's anything that's going to be fixed up on your team, it's definitely the speed slash momentum. I think if you clear that up, this team can function really, really well. Do I think it functions really well right now? I think it can. It's all based on how he wants to team build and what he's bringing and what the goal he thinks his team is. What I think it is you bring Bouffalant, you bring Azumarill, you bring Gigalith and Excadrill, Mega Altaria and Chandelure or Mach or Electivire, whatever one, but at least Azumarill and Bouffalant, Gigalith and Excadrill. I think those four should probably be brought in almost every time. It's pretty hard to resist two Pokemon that have one has Reckless, one has Huge Power. It's pretty hard to just constantly resist attacks that have over 100 base power or over 500 attack, things like that, right? Pretty hard to continuously resist those, even if you are really strong defensively. I think between those two, it can open up a lot of holes and a lot of sweeps and wins for Simon for the Excadrill and Gigalith. So overall, I rated this team at 33.5. Again, you guys, if these scores are lower than the 40s and stuff like that, that doesn't mean it's bad. Remember, 0 is the worst, 50 is perfect. So when you're at 30 or 33 or 31 or 32, it's not bad. It's good. It's average. And that means that you're drafting okay. There's a couple things that need to be fixed in it. Or things that could be better in it. And that's not bad at all. So please don't take it the wrong way. I'm only doing these from what I'm seeing, and again, nobody is even close to having a bad draft. Everybody has got a good or really good draft, as I've said many times in this team analysis. So one thing that is very notable on Simon's team that I will mention, I'm sure most people can spot this. I don't know if Simon has, but especially with his recent trades, you have a big Earthquake weakness, and I think Earthquake immunity would really help you out. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pokemon weak to Earthquake. I know you have Appleton there to deal with those Earthquakes, but it can't deal with them if every single Pokemon on the opponent's team, or 3 out of 5, or 4 out of 5, or 5 out of 5, or 6 out of 6 Pokemon have Earthquake, right? Especially if they're scarfed and stuff like that. So I think that is a huge gaping hole on the team that I think definitely should address before you get later in the draft and you can't recover differential and stuff like that. So overall, I think your team's good. Do I think it's the best, or do I think it's really good? No, but I think it can do a lot of damage to people. I think if people aren't preparing properly and they're just kind of overlooking things like Buffalon and Azumarill, and they're just overlooking, uh, they're like, oh, this guy rated it at 33. I'll beat this. That's not really how it works. People still got to prepare for these teams, whether they have big weaknesses like that earthquake weakness. They still got to prepare accordingly. It's not just like somebody's gonna just stay in on the earthquake for you every single time. So, but yeah, again, I hope you guys are enjoying these. This is the last one, so if you guys have any suggestions of what I should do or what you guys would like, feel free to let me know either in the community, on post, or in the chat, or in the comments below on YouTube here. So hope you guys are enjoying these, and on to the last one. Thanks. Okay, so last in the pairing team analysis with Simon is myself, Ross Allen. This is for the NCPL, and my draft is Mega Alakazam, Mungus, Indeedee, Electros, Regice, Conkeldurr, Mega Sableye, Blastoise, Lycanroc D, Licky Licky, and Silvally Dragon. So the first thing that I see on this team is I'm very heavily reliant on Psychic and Psychic Terrain. My team is very much built around that. As you guys can see, there's the Mega Alakazam and the Indeedee. Definitely one of the most threatening things on this team. So that paired with things like Amoonguss to cover and Electros to get them in on safe switches. Flip turn from Blastoise and parting shot or U-turn from Silvally. So, but the team is very much heavily based around Mega Alakazam and Indeedee. That is the first thing I noticed, but let's break this down individually. So this score was made. The score and each rating was made by Chris. He's in the draft, if you guys know, of course. I thought it was fair that he did it and not myself. Either I was going to be too hard on myself or I was going to be too biased on myself, and I didn't want that. So I had Chris do the rating. This way, it's a fair score, and I can elaborate on some of the points that he made, and basically rate the team or go over the team the same way that I would everybody else's team. So first off, Chris' rating was a 9 for offense. Now, I think that's very, very much justified. Mega Alakazam and Indeedee are really, really hard hitters. With that new move, Expanding Force, this makes the offense just skyrocket. If you guys don't know, Expanding Force is a psychic move, and the psychic terrain, it gets a 1.5 boost, I think is what it is, making it above 100 base move, plus psychic terrain, and then plus stab. So Indeedee was already a problem with it, and Mega Alakazam also gets it. So if I can get Mega Alakazam in on a reliable switch, safe switch, this thing's going to do some work with Expanding Force. So those are really strong options here. But of course, those aren't the only offensive options for this team. You got things like Conkeldurr, Lycanroc, and Blastoise. Mega Sableye and Silvally are honorable mentions as well. Conkeldurr being fighting type with Mach Punch, it has Guts, it has Iron Fist, it has Sheer Force, a plethora of coverage, and lots of HP and pretty good defense and special defense. So this Pokemon can be brought in a few different ways, makes it pretty versatile. It hits like a freaking truck with reliable recovery and Drain Punch. Now, I normally wouldn't say Drain Punch is reliable recovery, but it's stab, and he hits really hard. If you don't have a Ghost type, it's generally going to heal up a lot of that burn damage, if not all of it. So, or, in the end, just scoop a kill. So Conkeldurr has coverage for basically anything. Pair that with Iron Fist, it could just run all the fists. It has Fire Punch, Ice Punch, and Thunder Punch. So just so you guys know what I mean on the coverage, though, Conkeldurr He of course has, all the fighting stuff: brick break, close combat, drain punch, mock punch. He also has earthquake, fire punch, grass knot, which is useful in my opinion. Ice punch, knockoff, low kick, which can be useful as well. Um, poison jab, power up punch, rock slide, stone edge, smackdown, which I do find useful sometimes. And it also has toxic as well, which I think can be a useful option if somebody is constantly switching in a defensive check for it, or if you're expecting the defensive check to be brought and constantly checking Conkeldurr. This can help wear down and break that Pokemon and force your opponent to either heal bell or deal with it in another way. So also has the ability to use bulk up, which is quite scary. Another really funky option that it has is defog if I need it. So but next up on the offensive side, sorry guys, we have Lycanroc. So Lycanroc, it seems like a little bit of a weird pick, but there's a lot of strong fire and flying types in this draft. And the Accelerock, which is a priority rock move, is going to be really useful, I think. Not to mention, Lycanroc gets a lot of coverage. It gets Tough Claws, so anything that makes contact is getting a 1.3 times boost. That's a free Life Orb, so if you run Life Orb, you're getting double, 2.6 times. So pair that at 117 base attack. That is actually quite high. After the Life Orb boost or the Choice Band boost, it hits like a freaking train. Speed is 350. This helps clean up my speed tier. As you guys notice, it's really not that great. I would have to rely on a Scarfer at least a couple times or more in the draft. But Lycanroc's coverage, Accelerock, close combat, Stone Edge, of course. Play rough, bulk up, brick break, drill run, Fire Fang, Iron Head, Iron Tail, Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, which is really useful in my opinion, Stomping Tantrum, Taunt, Thunder Fang, and Zen Headbutt. So this Pokemon actually has really great coverage, and with its speed tier, it makes it a really reliable revenge killer, especially with Accelerock if nothing's resisting it. And as we know, Rock is really it's a type that isn't really resisted very well, which is very notable in Tyranitar staying in such a high tier for so long, because Stone Edge is always so scary, and of course it's typing and Sandstream, of course, but Stone Edge is really a really reliable move in terms of damage, so not reliable in terms of hitting though. So, but next up we have Blastoise. A strong sweeper in Gen 8 here with the addition of Shell Smash. It really boosted this Pokemon quite high. Shell Smash, of course, doing 2 times speed, 2 times special attack, and 2 times attack. Blastoise also having the move pool to run either physical or special attack, so this makes it very threatening and very hard to prepare for it because you're not sure which one it's going to be brought. Had the team being really heavily special attack and not physical attack, then you could see me running more physical attack, but I think there's a good balance of attack and special attack on the team, so it's kind of hard to prepare for. With the addition of Hidden Power in this draft, because we're in National AG, it really helps this Pokemon wall break and or sweep teams, so very scary Pokemon, especially with the bulk that it has. It's pretty easy to fire off a Shell Smash without any repercussions. So, but for the last two, yeah, because I mentioned Indeedee and Mega Alakazam kind of together. They kind of do the same thing. You're really gonna see the same thing on those two. It's kind of hard to mix those two up because they're very pivotal to this team's offense. So, but anyways, for the last two, Mega Sableye and Silvally Dragon, generally utility Pokemon, but they both have the ability to set up and sweep. Both have extremely high bulk, so Sableye, obviously getting Magic Mounts as well makes it really hard to either taunt, toxic, or anything like that. You would need other means to deal with it. either that be fairy moves or things like Psycho Shift or Mummy or Wandering Spirit to take away Magic Bounce and chip it down with Toxic. So um, I think it can be a very reliable sweeper if the opponent doesn't have any fairy moves, but generally somebody's got a fairy move. So Dazzling Gleam seems to be given to everybody, which I really didn't think about, but it is. So, but so volley being a potentially good sweeper with multi attack being 120 base plus the stab. I think it is. I think it also gets a stab. I'm not really sure how that works with the RKS system and the typing and stuff like that. But regardless, that's really strong. So volley dragon also having access to Draco Meteor, which is crazy. So I can run multi attack for 120 or Draco Meteor for what is it? Is Draco Meteor 140? What is Draco Meteor? Solali. 130. My bad. So 120 and 130. I can run a mixed attack. I can run Swords Dance. He has Thunderbolt. He has Ice Beam. He has Grass Pledge. He does have some physical moves like Crunch, Aerial Ace, Fire Fang, Flame Charge, Iron Head, Poison Fang, Psychic Fangs, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, Steel Wing, Thunder Fang, U-Turn, X Scissor, and Zen Headbutt. So I mean, its physical attack is good enough to run Sword Dance if needed, if the matchup is right. So especially if they don't have a Dragon Resist, that 120 multi attack or that Draco Meteor is really going to be an issue. So. But yeah, I think 9's a really justified score. I don't think there's really, I don't know what I could put on it that would make it better. Maybe a better speed out of it. But I think physical attackers covered in Lycanroc and Conkeldurr can be run in Blastoise and Silvally, and then you got special attack between again Blastoise. And then you got Indeedee and Mega Zam, which are just tremendous special attackers. So, but next up we have 8. Chris rated an 8. So the defense is really combined between Amoonguss and Licky Licky, but other defensive options would be Reggie Ice, Blastoise, Mega Sableye, and Silvally. Electros is kind of that in-between Pokemon defense and offense. It's a bulky pivot. That's what this looks like to me. So, but really combined between Amoonguss and Licky Licky here. So Amoonguss being definitely the backbone of this team's defense, from what it looks like anyway. Being able to absorb all those special attacks like Shadow Balls, being able to absorb knockoff, kind of okay as well, for the Indeedee and the Mega Alakazam. But I do want to note that Indeedee does immune Shadow Balls, so that is a good coverage for Mega Alakazam. So, but the Amoonguss absorbing Thunderbolts as well, which is really great. That's really kind of what it's used for, to absorb the attacks, switch in, switch out, keep absorbing things, fire off Toxic, fire off attack, keep chipping down, and eventually allow Indeedee or whoever I'm scarfing or Accelerock to finish off and clean up a team. So and then of course we have Licky Licky here, very good Heal Bell, Wish Passer for 2 points. With a plethora of coverage, gets knockoff, which is always great on a defensive Pokemon. Dragon Tail, which is always fantastic on a defensive Pokemon as well. Being normal type, it's weak to fighting, which is covered in Conkeldurr and covered in Sableye as well. So I kind of deter those fighting moves, which is really great. Licky Licky also, having the ability Oblivious, I think is what it is. Own Tempo is the other one. It's got 3 abilities: Oblivious, Own Tempo, I believe, and Cloud9. But Oblivious being great because it can't be taunted, so you're always going to get that Wish and that Heal Bell off if needed, and you aren't going to be stopped from doing that. So a great defensive Pokemon for the team. Next we have Mega Sableye here, a really phenomenal utility Pokemon. In its base form, it gets Prankster. In its mega form, it gets in its mega form. In its mega form, it gets Magic Mounts, which is awesome for deterring hazards and status. Probably the leading Pokemon on the team that's going to help deter those or send them back. It's got Foul Play, it's got Will-O-Wisp, it's got Toxic, it's got Taunt, and you can really utilize its base form prior to Mega, and then really threaten the opponent that way, and force him to try and make me Mega, and you kind of get the game in your hands at that point when you realize the opponent is trying to do something, if you can figure that out. So um, another good defensive Pokemon that's helping Licky Licky by immuning those fighting types. It's also making sure people don't use my Psychic Terrain against me, because that can be a problem as well, since I don't really have a Psychic Resist besides Mega Sableye. So really strong Pokemon on the team here, and really useful when the matchup is right. So and of course, you have things like Regice, which people are probably like, oh, what the hell is this Regice? It doesn't make any sense on the team. I mean, it's an ice type Pokemon. It's got super high special defense. It resists some things that I needed on the team. And it has Ice Beam Stab, which I wanted for some of the dragons in the draft, like of course Leo's Dragonite, and Drudigan, stuff like that. I just wanted an ice type to make sure that I could deal with them, or at least threaten them in the matchup with this Regice. So it has good coverage as well, so don't overlook this. It's got Thunderbolt, it's hidden powers there as well. It's got Ice Beam, it's got Focus Blast, it's got there's one other coverage move I forget. I won't hang up on it too long here though. But then Blastoise as well, flip turn defensively. In rain, I can use Rain Dish to free up that item. I don't need leftovers, or I can just double it, leftovers and Rain Dish. It'd be pretty hard to take it down. With the addition of flip turn, this makes it a good defensive pivot, and of course it gets Rapid Spin as well. So overall, a good Pokemon that can be run defensively, but I really see this Pokemon being a Shell Smasher for the team, as there isn't really any other boosting sweeper that's like crazy besides him on the team. So 8 definitely justified as well. So again, these when I say these are Chris's scores, I showed him, or I didn't tell him my scores, but I rated my team prior to him rating mine, and ours were very close. The only difference was hazards, and I had hazards 1 point higher. Other than that, ours were all the exact same. I think I had momentum a little bit lower as well, but it's good to get another eye on this, right? So so next we have speed at 8. Now, of course, you can see Mega Alakazam and Lycanroc are really holding this team's speed tier. When those two Pokemon are gone, it's pretty middling. Everything is 317 or below, which requires Scarfs to outspeed some of the faster drafts with Zeraora, Mega Beedrill, Dragapult, things like that. So really held together in the speed tier with Mega Alakazam and Lycanroc. But this isn't to say that the speed tier is bad, and the reason that I believe it's an 8 or deserves an 8 would be you got Mach Punch on Conkeldurr, which hits like a freaking bag of bricks. So it's not like that weak ass quick attack or something like that. This thing fucking hurts. So you got that, and then you got Accelerock and Lycanroc. Accelerock is only 40, but it's Tough Claws boosted, and you're generally going to be running Life Orb or Choice Band. So that's a pretty hard hitting priority move, and this really helps clean up the speed tiers and stop Pokemon from sweeping if they get out of control. As you did see, Dragapult was kind of an issue for my team, but Accelerock was really, really useful in that regard. I was able to make sure that I took down Pokemon like that with my priority moves. So it is cleaned up in the Accelerock and Mach Punch, but again, that is no higher than an 8. My speed tier is not very great, and it doesn't deserve anything higher than that. So um, definitely an 8 is I don't think it's worse, and I don't think it's better for sure. So because my team's quite slow outside of that. Which another thing to mention is I wanted to draft a couple slow Pokemon as well to make sure that Trick Room wasn't the biggest issue. Um, even though I versed Trick Room and it was a huge issue, uh, I was kind of on the fence about that if he was actually going to bring it or not, and he did. So, but again, I wanted to draft a couple really slow Pokemon like Mega Sableye and Conkeldurr to really deter Trick Room if I had to. Um, so that is there as well as speed control goes. So, but next we have is hazards. This is definitely the team's Achilles heel here. I have one hazard setter myself, and that's Lycanroc with Stealth Rocks. As you can see, I've used it when it's needed, but generally I like to run the 4 attacks, and I think that's when Lycanroc's the most useful. So outside of that, I don't have any other hazards to set up on the team. I don't even think Amoonguss gets Leech Seed, so I have status though. I have status in Licky Licky to set up, and Amoonguss, in Electros, and of course Mega Sableye. So that's not to say my hazard slash statuses are bad. I do have a lot of statuses on my side, and that I think is a bigger focus to me in the draft. Now, rocks are really, really important in the draft, and I think that's what deserves the 5 here. Is rocks are super, super important in draft, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, to help you net those one-hit KOs from Pokemon like Indeedee and stuff like that. I've used Indeedee a few times now, and there's multiple times where I haven't got the one-hit KO when I needed it, and Stealth Rocks would really help that out. So, hazard control though. There's Magic Bounce on Mega Sableye, there's Defog on Silvally, Rapid Spin on Blastoise, and Defog on Conkeldurr. So I do have decent hazard control here. Not to mention Magic Bounce is a big deterrent because people definitely don't want to set up hazards on their own side. So this usually will deter people from bringing it all together. So they don't waste turns or they don't set up hazards on their own side and essentially hurt themselves. So I think hazard control is really good, and I think that's what's bringing it to a 5. Because aside from that, I'm not really setting up hazards on you. I'm not really focused on that. So 5 is notable. I wish that was a little bit higher because I think my score is quite good. Had it been higher, I could have potentially had one of the highest scores. But that is how it is. I drafted for something else, and I definitely lack hazards, and I think Stealth Rock is very much needed on this team and pretty important in drafts. So, but last here we have Momentum is a 9. This is where me and Chris differ a little bit, but Chris pointed out some really good things, which I'll elaborate on. Now, I don't have Momentum in really good Volt Switching and slash U-turning or Flip Turn. Those Pokemon that do that is Electros with a slow U-turn or Volt Switch. I think it's very good to note that Electros being able to run both doesn't stop me. It doesn't wall me, basically, is what I'm saying. If I'm able to run Volt Switch and they don't have a resist, that's great. I'm always going to get good chip off that because a stab Volt Switch and a special attack is good. It's going to be really useful. But again, if they do have a resist... What the fuck did I just say? If they do have a resist or immunity to Volt Switch or electric moves, Electros has the ability to run U-turn. So I think that is really useful and really good to note about Electros. Not to mention, it's very slow. And this means that I can get Indeedee in for free, Mega Alakazam, Shell Smash Blastoise, Calm Mind Mega Sableye, Wish Passing Licky Licky, or cleaning Lycanroc, or blasting Conkeldurr for free. With that slow U-turn or Volt Switch, they don't have to take damage just to get in. I think Electros is the leading Pokemon for my momentum here. So I also have Parting Shot in U-Turn in Silvally. Um, so that is really useful as well. U-Turn being a little bit more useful as we've seen people Parting Shot, and I get Magic Bounced, and it sends me out, which was pretty annoying when somebody traced my Magic Bounce. So, um, and then of course you have Flip Turn and Blastoise, which if you're bringing a defensive Blastoise, I think that's really strong. Because it can do the, similar to what Electros does and get somebody in for free, or if it outspeeds, get an optimal switch in. So you have the option to do both. But where the 9 comes in, and what I'll elaborate from Chris's points, was the snowball effect my team has. So if Indeedee comes in, and you don't have things to outspeed it, or you don't have psychic resistances, it's more than likely going to start netting kills. With if you don't have things to set up different terrain or resist the psychic, expanding force hits for over base 100 plus stab plus psychic terrain. Not to mention if you run orb or specs, this is a whole whack of problems. So once you start picking up those kills, you get that one kill, the opponent starts to feel pressure, the opponent starts to stress, make weird decisions, and that's a pretty big snowball effect. So and that's just Indeedee. Mega Alakazam can do that as well. It also gets expanding force, so not to mention Indeedee's special attack is 300 and Mega Alakazam's is 449. So with its great speeds here, the ability for Mega Alakazam to net, a minimum of one kill is pretty high. And if you don't have the resistances, it's gonna net more than one, if not just wall break your entire team. So there's a really strong snowball effect between those two Pokemon. And then of course you have Shell Smash Blastoise, which can sweep on its own. It's ×2 attack, ×2 special attack. Hydro Pump at 120 is pretty hard to tank at a ×2 timid or modest Blastoise. So you could also run physical coverage on it as well to make sure people don't stop you in SPDF or the regular physical defense. So it starts picking up kills or wall breaking, and then you eventually kill Blastoise, and then Indeedee comes in. Then Indeedee does the basically the same thing, and it's this effect of it that keeps the ball rolling, and the opponent constantly trying to, fuck, I need to switch into this. How do I switch out? Raw switching, and then you predict, and then things like that happen. So I think that's more or less what Chris is referring to in that rating of the 9, is that snowball effect that this team has. So of course you have other things that can boost, but not to the same effect that Blastoise, Indeedee, and Mega Alakazam can have on a team and snowball a win. So overall, the rating that I got for this was 39, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. I wish it was a little bit higher. I'm a little bit sad I didn't draft the rocker, but again, this is just a score, and if anything, it's going to help me. As I've realized now that setting stealth rocks for things like Indeedee and Mega Alakazam to really clean up kills, it would be very useful to me, because not every single time does Indeedee net a 2-hit KO or a 1-hit KO, but with rocks it could have. So overall, this team is it has its weaknesses. I have multiple fighting weaknesses, but again, it's covered by Sableye. I have multiple bug weaknesses, but this is covered by things like I actually don't know what would cover bug on my team. I traded away my bug resistant. But I have strong defensive options to cover those things like Licky Licky and Amoonguss. So other notable weaknesses would be Shadow Ball, but again, that's covered with normal and Indeedee and normal and Licky Licky. You could say an ice weakness on the Amoonguss, but that's covered between Blastoise, or the ice weakness on Amoonguss and Silvally Dragon, that's covered between Blastoise and Regice. So, there's weaknesses to this team for sure. Hazards is definitely probably the biggest one. If people want to pressure with hazards, they can test me like that if they want. I do think that I brought things and drafted for things to deal with that, but I definitely don't have a uh, defogger, like Corviknight or Skarmory or Zapdos or things like that, right? That are super reliable in defogging. Um, I don't have anything like that, so it is definitely a big problem. Well, not a big problem, but like you understand what I mean. Like it's something that I don't have. So um, plus me not having my own hazards, I can't pressure people to make switches, which would be really good for my team. Pressuring people to make switches. Not to mention, if I had a good Stealth Rock slash Spiker, I could definitely net those one hit KOs or two hit KOs a lot more with things like Indeedee and Mega Alakazam, which would have been really helpful. So overall, I'm very happy with my score. And overall, I'm very happy with this whole team analysis and how it turned out. I really enjoyed making these. I hope that was kind of reflected in the videos. Um, and if you guys have any other suggestions of things you'd like me to do, make, please let me know in the community or in the comments below on YouTube or on the Facebook chat. Feel free to do that. I'm more than happy to think about any of those things and see what I can do about it. So, yeah, this is the last team analysis, number 10. Hope you guys enjoyed the ride, and hopefully see you guys on another thing.